You wanted a part two, and part two you shall get. Okay, so like I said, there comes a point where basic manifestation and more of this like girly pop spirituality stops working. And it's because you're meant to evolve. So I have studied manifestation. I've practiced manifestation for a really long time. And I know now what I didn't know before is that that's not all that there is. So, for example, I went and dug out, I got rid of a lot of these books, but I used to read a lot of like Abraham Hicks, those kind of manifestation teachers. And even when I was just flipping through it just now, what stood out to me is that it's all about your emotions. It's all about your emotions guiding your vibration, your energy. And the like energy attracts like energy. We know that this is fact. We know that this is like attracts like. We know that that's like a scientific principle, right? But then, even if we were to look at that principle in itself and like the ethers and how vibration is exchanged through thoughts and through beliefs, that's still scientific materialism, right? That's still a scientific process that's happening on our planet. And so that doesn't include spirit. That makes us think we are in charge of absolutely everything that happens to us, and it's 100% guided by our emotions. So, what happens a lot of times, and I've witnessed this a lot in the people that I've coached, is they have this paradigm, their emotions guide their vibration. That's the only way they can manifest is through good emotions and good energy and good vibrations. What that does is that creates a conditionality around what's showing up in your life. You start to have this complex that you can only bring in good things into your life when you are feeling good. You can only bring in money into your life when you are feeling good. And again, I know now just like how false that actually is. Some of the best income months I've ever had in my business were when my personal life was completely horrible. There's deaths in the family, like horrible shit is happening, yet I'm over here making tons of money. So I find that with a lot of modern manifestation or this girly pop manifestation is it's an absolute. They deal in the absolutes. And what it leaves out is spirit. What it leaves out is what we receive from spirit. Also, this idea that your vibration is always on. You are always manifesting. You're always manifesting through your emotions. And nothing, nothing in reality in the spiritual and physical realm is always on, right? There is always an ebb and a flow. So, this idea around manifestation that completely ignores the law of sacrifice. And so it overemphasizes the law of attraction, it overemphasizes the etheric nature of our thoughts, right? And our beliefs. But it doesn't bring in any of the other spiritual laws or even any of the other physical laws that don't make this something that's completely absolute. And I think that this is why you can see people manifest really powerfully for a short amount of time and then it kind of burns out. And it's because there isn't balance that's created. So manifestation relies on essentially giving up nothing and receiving everything. It's almost never an element of sacrifice. And what I mean by that is, what are you putting on the altar? What are you willing to give up? So, and we look at this law inverted through people like the elites and the Diddies and all that kind of stuff, right? They are performing sacrifices, but they're doing it from this evil, dark energy. It's still the same law. And for a lot of people, that's kind of that missing piece because with manifestation, you have this idea that you can just continue to get, and you're essentially using spirit to get rather than creating a harmony between you and spirit. So, an example of the law of sacrifice that isn't evil and dark and like you're killing goats in the backyard is, what is a bad habit that you're giving up? What are your attachments that you're giving up? What are you placing on the altar that you are willing to release your attachment to in order to bring in new energy and new materializations? So for me, a year and a half ago, it became very clear that I had to sacrifice my habit of consuming cannabis. So this is like the relationship of you are giving and receiving to spirit and from spirit, right? Rather than the perspective of let me use this to get something that I want, to get a material thing that I want. This is materialism, right? This is not being materialistic in the traditional sense of how we think of that word. It's your spirituality is based in materialism rather than your spirituality being based in spirit. And then acknowledging that we're here on a physical plane. Other aspect of an overly materialistic spiritual point of view is that it tends to teeter on Luciferianism. And I'm not saying that in like the dogmatic Christianity way where it's Satan and Lucifer is going to get you and stuff like that. I mean that it's literally Luciferic in terms of Lucifer was the angel, the fallen angel of fantasy, right? It's all about the knowledge. It's all about the materialism. It's you can have whatever you want. You never have to give up everything. It's this kind of delusion that there are no rules, and it is just this like the physical plane is just this like cornucopia of endless resources and this endless pleasure, right? It's missing the duality. It's only focused on this overly pleasure focused concept of the world. So anyways, comment for part 3 if you want to get into this a lot more.